Welcome to another deep dive. Today, we're going to try to get to the bottom of a real head scratcher in the crypto world, and that is shitcoins.
Ah, yes, shitcoins.
I mean, they're everywhere, right? But so many people call them worthless.
Right.
And yet you see these crazy stories of people making like insane profits.
Yeah.
So I brought in an expert to help us unpack all of this. What is it about these things that's so appealing to people, despite, all the warnings?
Well, you have to admit there is something kind of fascinating about them.
Definitely.
They really do capture like this get-rich-quick mentality that, well, that's always been around, right?
Yeah.
But with crypto, it's like it's on steroids or something.
Totally. And it seems like with shitcoins, there's this extra layer of, I don't know, maybe it's like a rebellion or something.
Oh, yeah, I see that. Like, I'm going to invest in this thing that everyone says is a joke just to prove them wrong.
Right. Or maybe it's just that they're so cheap, like anyone can buy a million of some, random coin for a few bucks.
Exactly. That low barrier to entry is a huge part of the appeal. It makes people feel like they're, getting in on the ground floor of the next big thing, like they did with Bitcoin back in the day, before it hit like $60,000 or whatever.
Oh, man. I wish I had gotten into Bitcoin back then.
Yeah, who doesn't, right?
But with shitcoins, it's like that dream is still alive.
Yeah, feels attainable. And then you combine that with all those stories you see online of people turning like $100 into thousands overnight. And, well, you can see why people get sucked in.
For sure. For sure. It's like, who wouldn't want a piece of that, right? Even if it is a gamble.
Definitely a gamble. And
Yep.
and we should probably talk about the risks, too.
Absolutely. But first, I want to touch on this whole meme culture aspect because, you can't talk about shitcoins without talking about memes.
Right, it's like they're intertwined or something.
Like, look at Dogecoin. I mean, it started as a joke, right? A literal meme.
A dog meme, no less.
Yeah. And now it's one of the top cryptocurrencies by market cap.
It's incredible, really. And Shiba Inu, too, another dog meme that just took off.
It tapped into something, that's for sure.
For sure. The Doge community, for example, they've built this whole culture around the coin. It's become more than just like a currency. It's like a social movement.
Right. And you have to admit they're pretty good at getting attention, too.
Oh, yeah.
Like, remember when Elon Musk was tweeting about Dogecoin all the time?
Yeah, that definitely helped their cause.
But, I mean, even with all the hype, all the memes, all the, like, celebrity endorsements, you can't escape the fact that shitcoins are, well, they're risky.
That's an understatement.
Right. So let's get into that. Like, what are some of the biggest risks that people should be aware of?
Well, one of the biggest ones you always hear about is these pump and dump schemes.
Okay, yeah, I've heard of those, but I'm not sure I totally understand how they work.
So basically, it's like this. A group of people, they get together, they pick a coin, usually like a really obscure one with a low price, and they start buying it all out.
Yeah.
Like really aggressively. And then, while they're doing that, they're also out there hyping it up all over social media, spreading all sorts of rumors and getting people excited about it.
Creating fake buzz.
Exactly.
To drive up the price.
Yeah. And then once the price has gone up enough, they dump all their holdings all at once, and everyone else is left holding these like worthless coins.
Oh, wow. So it's like it's all artificial, right? Like there's no real value behind it.
Yeah, it's basically a coordinated manipulation of the market.
And it seems like it would be hard for the average person to spot, right?
Very hard, especially if you're not like really deep into this stuff and you know what to look for.
So that's like a major red flag, right? If something seems too good to be true, it probably is.
Yeah, that's a good rule of thumb in general, but especially with shitcoins.
Okay, so what else should people be wary of?
Well, another big concern is like the lack of transparency with a lot of these projects.
Oh, right.
Like you have these coins being created by, anonymous developers who, they don't have a website, they don't have a white paper, there's no real information about, what the project is even supposed to do.
So you're basically just trusting that they're not going to run off with your money.
Pretty much. It's like handing over your cash to a stranger in a dark alley and hoping for the best.
That's terrifying.
It is. And to be fair, not all shitcoins are like this. There are some that have, legitimate teams behind them and real like use cases and stuff.
Okay, but that sounds like it's the exception, not the rule.
Yeah, you can say that. So yeah, it's really important to like do your research before you invest in anything.
Right. And don't just blindly follow the hype.
Exactly. Think for yourself. Be skeptical. And if something feels off, it probably is.
Okay, so let's say you see this new shitcoin pop up on your Twitter feed and it's got this catchy name and it's promising, crazy returns. What are some concrete steps you can take to figure out whether it's legit or just another scam?
Okay, well, first things first, I'd look for a white paper.
A white paper. What's that?
It's like a document that outlines the project's goals, like the
Yeah.
technology behind it, their roadmap for the future, all that
So
stuff.
it's like their plan for the coin.
Exactly. If a project doesn't have a white paper, that's a big red flag,
Okay, so no white paper, no deal.
pretty much.
Got it. What else?
Well, then I'd look into the team behind the project.
Yeah.
Are they transparent about who they are? Like, do they have real names? Do they have experience in the crypto space?
So you're looking for like credibility, right? People who have a track record of, actually doing something in this world.
Exactly.
Okay. So white paper, team, anything else?
Yeah, this one's important. Like, look for signs that the project is trying to, solve a real problem or offer some kind of unique utility.
So it's not all just memes and speculation. There are some shitcoins that are trying to actually do something useful.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, some are being used to, make payments or power decentralized applications or like support charities.
Wow, that's interesting. So how do you know which ones are the real deal, the ones with actual potential?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's something we can dive into a little bit deeper next time.
Perfect. I am very curious to hear more about that. We'll be back soon for part 2 of this deep dive into the world of shitcoins. Stay tuned.
So last time we were talking about how to sort of evaluate a shitcoin, like how to spot the scams and maybe find the ones that actually have some potential.
Right, right.
But I'm still kind of stuck on this idea that like some of these things are actually trying to do something useful in the world, like beyond just making people money.
Yeah, no, that's a really important point. I think it's easy to get caught up in the whole, meme aspect of it all, but there are definitely some projects out there that are, trying to build something real, something that could actually have a positive impact. So how do you even begin to like filter through all the noise and find those projects?
Well, for me, it all starts with the community.
The community.
Yeah, like the people who are involved in the project, the people who are, using the coin, talking about it online, all that.
Oh, okay. So like how active they are.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, are they engaged? Are they passionate about the project? Do they seem like they actually believe in it?
So it's not just about like the number of followers on Twitter or whatever.
Yeah, not at all.
Yeah.
It's more about the quality of the engagement. Like, are people having real conversations? Are they asking tough questions? Are they contributing to the project in meaningful ways?
So you're saying a strong community is a good sign?
Absolutely. I mean, it's one of the best indicators of a project's long-term potential, in my opinion.
That's interesting. So like what else do you look for?
Well, another thing I pay close attention to is the project's tokenomics.
Tokenomics.
Yeah, it's basically like the economics of the coin,
Yeah.
like how many coins are there in total? How are they distributed? What are the rules for creating new coins?
Okay, I think I'm starting to get it. So it's like the underlying structure of the coin, right?
Exactly. And it can tell you a lot about how the coin is likely to perform in the long run. Like, for example, if a coin has a really high total supply, like trillions of coins, even if the price goes up, it's probably not going to go up that much because there are just so many coins out there.
Right, right. So scarcity is important.
Yeah, just like with anything else. And then you also want to look at how the coins are distributed. Like, is it mostly concentrated in the hands of a few early investors, or is it more evenly spread out?
I guess a more decentralized distribution would be better, right?
Yeah, generally speaking. It helps prevent, like, whales, people with huge amounts of the coin from manipulating the market.
Makes sense. So community, tokenomics, anything else?
Yeah, the last thing I look at, and this one's really important, is utility. Yeah, like, does the coin actually do something? Does it have a real-world use case? Or is it just, a speculative asset, something that people are buying just hoping the price will go up?
Right. So going back to what we were talking about earlier, like, are they actually trying to solve a problem?
Exactly. Like, are they building a decentralized application? Are they creating a new payment system? Are they doing something that could actually make the world a better place?
Okay, so let's say I've done all my research. I've found a shitcoin with a strong community, solid tokenomics, and a promising use case. Am I good to go? Can I, like, go all in?
Whoa, hold on there. Not so fast.
What? Why not?
Even if a project ticks all the boxes, you got to remember, this is still crypto, and crypto is volatile.
Oh, right. It's, like, super risky.
Yeah, it is. I mean, the price of any coin can go up or down, like, dramatically at any time.
So even if I really believe in this project, I shouldn't put all my eggs in one basket.
Definitely not. Diversify, start small, and never invest more than you could afford to lose.
Okay, that's good advice. So Basically, even though we're talking about how to evaluate these shitcoins, you're still saying I should be really careful.
Yeah, super careful. Because even if you do everything right, there's still a chance you could lose money.
Right, right. It's like a calculated risk, I guess.
Exactly. And you have to be comfortable with that risk before you invest in anything.
Okay, so given all that, like, uh, how do you see this all playing out? What's the future of shitcoins?
Man, that's a tough one. It's really hard to predict what's going to happen in the crypto world.
True, true. It changes so fast.
Yeah, but I think it's safe to say that, like, as the market matures, we're probably going to see a shift away from, like, pure speculation and towards projects that have, real utility.
So the shitcoins that survive will be the ones that offer something of value beyond just the potential for quick profits.
Exactly. The ones that can actually bridge the gap between the meme-driven world of crypto and the practical needs of everyday users.
That makes sense. But there's another big question looming, and that's regulation.
Oh yeah, that's a big one.
Like governments all over the world are starting to, pay attention to crypto, right?
Definitely.
And you have to wonder, like, what's that going to mean for shitcoins?
Yeah, that's a great question, and it's one that I think a lot of people are thinking about right now.
It's it's a tough one to wrap your head around, right? Like, on the one hand, it seems like some regulation could be a good thing, at least to like, weed out the obvious scams and protect people from getting totally ripped off.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, more transparency and accountability would definitely be a positive step for the industry as a whole. It would help build trust, which is like crucial for any financial market, really.
Right, right. But then, like, you think about the whole ethos of crypto, this idea of decentralization, of being free from government control. And you have to wonder if, like, too much regulation could stifle that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's a real tightrope walk. Regulators need to find a way to protect investors without like stifling innovation. It's a tough balance to strike.
Totally. And it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out, like what kind of regulations they come up with and how the crypto community reacts to them.
For sure.
Mhm.
It's definitely something to keep an eye on.
So before we wrap up, I wanted to circle back to something we touched on earlier, which is this idea that some shitcoins, despite, starting as jokes or memes, might actually evolve into something more substantial. Like, are
Uh,
there any examples of that actually happening? Like shitcoins that are making that transition, breaking out of that meme mold?
Yeah, I think Dogecoin is a good example of that. I mean, it started as a straight up parody of Bitcoin, but it's managed to build a really strong community and gain some mainstream acceptance.
It's pretty crazy to think about, right? Like a coin based on a dog meme becoming, something that people actually use to buy
I
things.
know, right? But it just goes to show you that anything is possible in the crypto world.
Totally. So any other examples?
Um, I mean, there are a lot of projects out there that are, trying to do interesting things, but it's still early days for most of them. Like, it's hard to say for sure which ones will succeed in the long run.
Right, right. It's all still so new and unpredictable.
Exactly. But that's also what makes it so exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess for a listener who's, maybe thinking about dipping their toes into this shitcoin pool, what advice would you give them?
Hmm. Well, first and foremost, I'd say like don't get caught up in the hype. It's easy to get swept up in all the excitement and the promises of quick riches, but you got to remember that this is still a very risky investment.
Yeah, and we've talked about a lot of those risks already.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So, do your research, start small, and only invest what you can afford to lose. And most importantly, like don't be afraid to ask questions. There are a lot of smart people in the crypto community who are happy to help.
Yeah, that's great advice. And we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. We've talked about the allure of shitcoins, the risks involved, how to evaluate them, the potential for regulation, and even the possibility that some of them might, actually become something more than just memes.
It's been a great conversation. I've really enjoyed it.
Me too. So for our listener, I hope you've learned something today. And, even if you decide that shitcoins aren't for you, I think it's important to like stay curious about this space because crypto, whether we like it or not, it's here to stay and it's going to continue to evolve in ways that we can't even imagine right now.
Could have said it better myself.
So keep learning, keep exploring, and who knows, maybe you'll find the next big thing. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.